Neil Batale here. I have Neilian.com, which is about physics and mathematics. Occasionally. This video is about algebraic expressions with exponents. Let's say we start with the number 2. That's the same as 2 to the first power, but it's often written just as 2. Alright, so here's 2 to the 1. Same thing. 2 to the 1 equals 2. 2 squared is 2 times 2 equals 4. 2 to the third is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. If you go from the 8 to the 4, you divide by 2. If you go from the 4 to the 2, you also divide by 2. So if you decrease in powers from 3 to 2, you're dividing by 2 on the right side. If you decrease from 2 to 1, you're also dividing by 2. So therefore, if we go to 0, which is 1 less than 1, we take the 2, which is on the right side, and we divide by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So any number to the 0 power is going to be 1, except for maybe 0 or something kind of out of the ordinary. But any negative number, any positive number, any decimal, any irrational number, the natural number e, pi, any number to the 0 power is going to be 1. So 3 to the 0 is 1, 7 to the 0 is 1. Negative 6 within parentheses to the 0 is going to be 1. Negative sign, then parentheses, 6 to the 0, close parentheses, is going to be negative 1, because you do the exponent first because of the order of operations. So you take the number to the 0 power, which is 1, and if you have a negative sign in front of it, which is being multiplied, it becomes negative 1. X to the minus 1 is the same as 1 over x. If you see a negative sign in the exponent, you take 1 divided by that thing. It doesn't actually give you a negative result unless you start with a negative base. So 3 to the negative 1 is 1 over 3. 2/3 to the negative 1 is 1 divided by 2/3, which is 3/2. If you divide by 2/3, it's the same as multiplying by 3/2. 4/7 to the minus 1 is the reciprocal, 7 over 4. Negative 3/7 to the minus 1 is negative 7 over 3. It's the same as 7 over negative 3, but you usually write the negative sign on top of a fraction. 1.2 to the minus 1 is 1 divided by 1.2, and you probably want to convert that to fractions. 1.2 is the same as 6 over 5, so 1 divided by 6 over 5 is 5 over 6. Okay, if you have a variable to a power, then you raise it to another power, you multiply those two numbers, 3 times 2. Same thing with z to the 3 to the 5. You multiply the 3 by the 5, you get 15. Y to the 5th to the 2nd is y to the 10th, because it's 5 times 2. Here's a more complicated expression. Let's start with the term on the left, because that has an exponent outside the parentheses and the term on the right doesn't. So I'm going to just start working left to right. So x squared, and we're going to basically apply that exponent on the outside of the parentheses to every term on the inside. So let's start by squaring x squared. We get 2 times 2, so x to the 4th. Y squared is y squared. Z to the 4th squared is z to the 8th, because we multiply the exponents. We still have the piece on the right, so I just write it to the side. Now we're going to multiply the like terms. We're going to start with the numbers. I just see one number, that's the number 4, as just a number by itself. I see numbers in the exponents, but only one number being multiplied. So start with that 4. We got 4, and now we're going to start left to right with the terms on the left side of the parentheses. So x to the 4th times x to the 3rd. 4 plus 3 in this case. It's not x to the 4th to the 3rd, it's x to the 4th times x to the 3rd. So in this scenario, we add the exponents. Now it's y squared. There is no other term there, so that just carries through. You have y squared. And then you have z to the 8th times z to the 4th. So that's going to be z to the 12th. 8 plus 4 is 12. Here's a little bit more complicated example. Okay, so let's start with the left term on the top because it has an exponent outside the parentheses. And let's start left to right. We have a -2 and it's raised to the 5th power. So any number that's negative to an odd integer exponent is going to be negative. So this is the same as -2 to the 5th. Basically, that's because a -1 times a -1 gives you +1. So if you have an even number of multiplications with negative numbers, you get a positive number. If you have an odd number, you're left with an extra negative sign. So -2 to the 5th is -2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So 5 times, which is going to be -32. You could think about that as 2 times 2 is 4. Another 2 times 2 is 4. So it's 4 times 4, which is 16. 16 times 2 is -32. Or you could use a calculator if you want to. All right, so we've got the -32. Now we've got x, and we're raising it to the 5th power. So that becomes x to the 5th. We've got y to the 3rd to the 5th. So we multiply the exponents here. 3 times 5 is 15. We've got z to the 4th to the 5th. Multiply the exponents again. 4 times 5 is 20. Now we write what we have on the right side. And I'm going to write the bottom of the exponent. And I'm going to write the bottom of the fraction now. We see that the z to the 20 over z to the 20 cancels out because you're dividing something by itself. And you've also got y to the 15 over y to the 4th. The y to the 4th cancels out, and you subtract the exponents. 15 minus 4 is 11. Okay, now we combine like terms again. We start with a -32. We just write that down. Now we've got x to the 5th times x to the 2nd. 5 plus 2 is 7. We got y to the 11th times y to the 2. 11 plus 2 is 13. And that's the answer.